Thank you for joining us at Kitchen Spoons and Combat Boots. I'm Jessie Smith, and I'm here with Andre Wing, the Program Director for Veterans Outreach. Welcome, Andre. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So I want to start off by asking you a question that I feel like is really important when we talk about this topic. There's a lot of definitions out there of the word veteran. So for the purpose of what we're talking about, what is the definition of veteran?
So the federal standard for veterans is you have to have completed at least 2 years of continuous service after 1980. Prior to 1980, you could only complete less than 2 years and you were considered a veteran. For the reserve component, it gets a little bit more complicated because you could have a service member who would do 20 years in the National Guard or any reserve component without Title 10 time, which would be a deployment. They're not considered veterans. And it can be very complicated. I mean, as an example, we dealt with a service member who had 7 months in the service, but he was 100% service connected, and he would not be eligible for a veteran's vanity plate, like a license plate. You couldn't even have veterans ID on his veterans ID card, or even have the name veteran on the license plate, or correction, on the driver's license. So it is, that's the federal definition. That's what the VA uses as well for if you want to get VA benefits.
Okay, thank you. How can veterans connect with other veterans in ways that will give back to their community in a purposeful manner?
So, I mean, there's several ways. We've got the Josh House, and my understanding is they'll be talking a little later on in this podcast. The good thing about the Josh House, and I'm sure they'll mention that to you, but there's a group of veterans that will congregate at the Josh House. They have long hours. You can go and have a meal. You can actually volunteer to be part of the staff. They have fly fishing. They have all kinds of activities, but I'm sure that they'll mention that to you. We also have the veteran service organizations, like the American Legion. American Legion, obviously, you need to pay an annual membership. And if, my age, then you can get a lifetime membership for real cheap. But for those, and same with the VFW, it's a different criteria with the Veterans of Foreign War. But what these organizations will do for the veteran is, they do a lot of, I don't want to say lobbying, but they do a lot of legislative stuff with in Washington with Congress, to benefit, obviously, veterans and to get more benefits for those folks. If you're a motorcycle enthusiast, you've got the Combat Veteran Motorcycle Association group. They obviously, their criteria is you have to be a combat vet, but they do a lot of stuff. I mean, they there's a lot of honor flights that leaves out of Plattsburgh, and they'll do they escort the veteran to the airport in Plattsburgh, and then these veterans, usually World War II veterans, Korean War vets, and they're starting to do Vietnam vets. They'll escort them, and then they'll fly down to D.C. for 2 days, and then they'll look at the World War II Memorial, Vietnam Memorial, and the Korean War Memorial. You could also, the Patriot Guard Riders, they will escort, especially at the Vermont Cemetery in Randolph, they will escort the fallen veteran all the way down, to the cemetery in Randolph, and for a last ride, so to speak. The American Legion has Legionnaires, and the same thing. They do motorcycle rides to benefit. And then I would probably think about the employment or ESGR employment of the Guard and the Reserve. They also have volunteer opportunities. So all these organizations are, they all with veterans. And lastly, I will, since, while we're in the process of a hurricane, you might have to wipe that one out. But Team Rubicon is a great organization, and these are the folks. These are all veterans. They all congregate to disaster areas. They kind of have the same structure as a military, so they got like a squad leader, a team leader. There's a 5-step process in order for you to be accepted into Team Rubicon. And then, as a matter of fact, when we had the flood, not this year but last year in July, they came. They were in the Bay Area. So, but those are probably some good opportunities for veterans to connect with veterans.
Awesome. And if anyone has any questions about any of those, could they ask a member of your team how they get, like, for contacts for those? Yeah,
absolutely. Just, we've got a toll-free number, but you're more than happy to contact any member of my team.
Perfect. What are some common support needs that veterans seek assistance with, and how can they access help?
So there's a myriad of assistance that we can provide. We'll do benefits, which is like VA enrollment. We'll do claims assistance. And those are, we're well versed in those areas. So, I encourage every veteran who's eligible, who's considered a veteran per the federal standards, to give us a call, and that we can help with the enrollment process. Again, like I said, we're really good at that because when the National Guard deploy, we always I send a team at the DMOB site, and we kind of do that, and then we've got a great collaborative partnership with the VA and eligibility. Some of the claims assistance, we can guide them on how to do that, especially if they got injured on active duty. And this would also work for someone in the reserve component who during drill weekend or during an annual training, if they do get injured, we can help them work that process to get a claim and get compensated for their injury. We also, since the pandemic, we've helped a lot with financial assistance, utilities. Our team has partnerships with about 7 or 8 nonprofits that we do the vetting for to help assist, for utility assistance, rent assistance, things of that nature. One of the things that, we will help with survivor benefit plans, with the death and indemnity compensation. That's a tough word for me to say. Also, we do a lot of peer support and advocacy for veterans within the community. During the pandemic, we had older veterans, and one of the things that we would do, I call it companionship. I leave that up to my staff, but we would, everybody was isolated, especially the older veterans. So we would give them a call once a week to make sure they were okay. And then as the pandemic was kind of, slowing down a little bit, then obviously we would do house visits, with the mask and the proper protocol and whatnot. But the one thing I would say is that I would never, if anybody has a question or needing assistance, I never say no right off the bat. And I'll do my best to find a solution for them. My staff does as well. So, but we're basically a one-stop shop.
Yeah, and it's all pretty amazing stuff. So, all right. So you've sort of delved into this and reasons why, just based on what you just said. But I'm going to ask you anyway. Why should a veteran work with an outreach specialist?
So we have the ability to cut through the red tape with all these different programs that are out there. I have partnerships with over 100 community partners in the state of Vermont, even some in New Hampshire, maybe less limited in the upper New York State. And all of my staff are veterans. The most of us are combat vets, so we that old saying, we can walk the walk if you talk the talk, that kind of thing. So we're able to talk their language. Also, we sit down at their kitchen table with the veteran, and their significant other or their partner to kind of help come to a common goal. If they're looking to, reach a certain goal, we're there to kind of assist them in a way. We don't do all the work for them, but we kind of guide them in that way. As I said, we had the ability to cut through the red tape. So, and we have a lot of partnerships. So, and then not only that, if you just want to have someone to talk to that talks the same language as the veterans, then my folks can do that. So I think that would be, and you'd be wrong not to come and give us a call. So
I would agree with you. Your
Yeah.
team is definitely well equipped
Yeah.
to deal with veterans' needs. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Andre, and for having this little chat and letting me pick your brain a little bit. And for those of you viewing, stay tuned when I talk with Andrea Gagner-Murphy from Josh's house. Good morning, and thank you for joining us for Kitchen Foods and Combat Boots. I'm Jessie Smith, and I'm here with Andrea Gagner-Murphy with Josh's house.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, so, for not everyone knows what Josh's house is, so do you mind just telling us a little bit about its background and how Josh's house got started?
Sure. So Josh Pallotta was actually a Vermont native, grew up in Colchester, and decided in 2009 to join the Vermont National Guard, knowing that he was going to deploy to Afghanistan, and he did with the largest Vermont deployment. While they were in Afghanistan, they lost two of their unit members, Tristan Southworth and Stephen DeLuzio. And coming home, Josh really struggled with, actually, when he first got home, he seemed to be doing very well. He, got a job with TSA that he loved, and but after a few years, really had a hard time. Started to struggle with a lot of his post-traumatic stress. He had suffered a traumatic brain injury, survivor's guilt, just something that obviously, a lot of veterans deal with, especially coming back from combat. And in September of 2014, he ended his battle, coming up on the 10th anniversary. And his folks had been, especially his mother, had been very active in the family community around our soldiers. His mother, Val, had been one of the founding members of the Blue Star Mothers chapter in Vermont, and just was very active in wanting to support our soldiers and their families. And so when Josh passed, a lot of people were sending in donations on his behalf, and they were trying to figure out what best to do with it. They knew that they really wanted to raise awareness about soldier suicide, but they really, getting the word out, going around talking to other veterans and family members and other support services. And then after talking with other veterans, especially those that deployed with Josh, about what would be helpful to them or what they thought would have been helpful for Josh, the idea was that they just wanted a place where they could connect with one another. They come back and everybody gets involved in their normal day-to-day lives, and they really miss that connection with each other. And so the idea for Josh's house was born. And even with COVID happening, we were still able to open the doors to Josh's house on March 1st, 2021. And what that is, it's not very far from here at all. It is a wellness and recreational center for veterans. We offer a hot meal every day. We have just recently added we call it the Veteran Marketplace. It's a food shelf of sorts for veterans who might be struggling. We have free massages. We offer music therapy. We work with Project Healing Waters to do fly tying every week. So we do a veteran coffee social, and lots of other things, acupuncture, that are really proving to be a positive influence in these veterans' lives, and really giving them that ability, that place where they can connect with one another and just be there for one another. Since we've been open, we've seen about 25,000 people through the doors. And, on a regular basis, we'll see 200 veterans throughout the week, which is wonderful. Our meal program is definitely one of the most important pieces of what we do at Josh's house, as well as adding the food shelf for them. So it's a great place for them to just come and meet other veterans, and it's a very happy place. It's not depressing by any stretch. Lots of joking going on, but that connection is just really, really important.
Yeah, and definitely I've worked with the Yellow Ribbon program here for when people come back and before they leave for deployments. And one of the things that we hear a lot is that the reintegration is the hard part, because you go from being with all these people who share experiences with you every day to coming home and more so being around people that don't know where you've been. So yeah, that sounds extremely valuable. So
It's incredible to see, and I tell people this often. I've never seen it in any other industry that I've ever worked in. When a new veteran comes through the doors at Josh's house, it doesn't matter what branch they served in, how long they served, what the circumstances around their separation from the military are. The minute they walk in that door, there's an immediate connection with the other veterans that are already there. They're very welcoming and open, and it's really an incredible thing.
yeah, that sense of camaraderie is strong. So is there anything else that you guys do at Joss House that you really want to highlight?
Yeah, so I think probably the biggest thing is just being that central piece that it's funny, the spot that we're in is ironically enough the old VA clinic. And so for some of the older veterans that remember it being the VA clinic, it was a struggle for them to come through the doors. And what we really want to highlight is that it is a place of peace and joy and safety, and just when you come in, you're free to be you and to connect with others, and just I tell everybody the kitchen table, which is actually a large conference table, but that is our most important piece of equipment there at Josh's house, because there are so many connections that are made and friendships that are now, they're taking place outside of Josh's house, and they're helping one another with whether it's moving or, we were able to find a housing rental from one veteran to another there. And we also work very closely with the outreach support personnel from the VA. They're at Josh's house often, and their role when they come to Josh's house is just to make sure that anybody that's at Josh's house, all of the veterans, are getting all of the resources that they're entitled to, making sure that they are connected with whatever it is that they need and they're entitled to with the VA. So that's a huge piece of the connections that are happening at Josh's house.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That not only is it a place to go where people can just be themselves and be at peace there, but that they also have access to resources as well. So
Yeah.
that's huge.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And it's nice to see when someone, we've seen a number of veterans who didn't realize that they were entitled to disability benefits, and then all of a sudden they're getting these disability benefits because somebody from the VA helped connect them. Is just, it's life-changing for them.
Right. Well, and sometimes you don't know what you need until you're having those conversations and someone says, well, I get this. And oh, well, I could use that. So sometimes just being relaxed enough where sometimes when you go to the VA, you got that feeling of, okay, I'm here for this thing and this is the VA, but you're in a more relaxed setting. It definitely makes sense that more would come out.
Yeah, and their support people are also veterans. So the three support personnel that they have here in the Chittenden County area, they're all veterans too. So they know that navigating the system might not be the easiest, and so it's definitely helpful.
Yeah. So do you guys have any upcoming events?
We do. We have Veterans Day. We always do a big sort of an open house. We either get a meal catered, donated and catered, or myself and the house manager, Courtney, will cook a big meal for everybody. And we'll see anywhere from 40 to 80 people through the doors that day. This year is going to be a little extra special. WOKO is getting involved with us. So they're going to be highlighting some of the veterans in the area, as well as providing lots of entertainment that day, and they're going to be helping us to promote it so that more veterans understand that there's a lot of things that happen around Veterans Day in the area for local veterans, but this is just an opportunity for them to come and see Josh's house, to have a great meal and to meet some of the other veterans that come in for the day. And we're opening it up. Veterans Day, our celebration luncheon isn't just for veterans. We encourage community members who've never been to Josh's house and who are curious to see what it's about, to come, and they can enjoy the meal with us and get to know some of the veterans that come to Josh's house and learn from them why it's such an important piece of their day-to-day lives now.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to highlight, just because I feel like it's important. So I know some people, like their first thought when they hear Josh House is, oh, well, you go there if you need help.
Yes. It's a common misconception, partly because it came from tragedy, and so we've been trying to get the word out that it's not someplace you need to go if you're just in a tough place. You can come if you're struggling with something. And we don't have any clinicians on site. And that was actually at the request of our veterans. They wanted to feel comfortable coming there, not that they were being diagnosed or observed in any way. So while we can help you get connected to those services, we don't have those at Josh's house. But it is a place for you to come and meet fellow veterans and to share, your experience with others who may have had a different experience, or to just learn from the others. And if nothing else, there are stories being told and jokes being told, and it's just a great opportunity to enjoy being around those that understand where you've been, and who maybe you may be helping someone when you're there without realizing it. They may not be having the best day and need a little bit of that peer-to-peer support. So it's definitely not just for those who are struggling. We have a full service gym, 1,000 square foot gym that's fantastic, that we would love to see more people using. And we have, like I said, other programs. The fly tying is a great opportunity for people to come in and just check it out, see what's going on, but without that need to be in a bad place.
Yeah. Thank you so much for clearing that up.
Oh,
I mean, you guys provide so many benefits. You just listed a few of them. I mean, food is a huge motivator for me. So that's all you have to say right there. So,
And if people are curious, like what types of meals that we're serving, if anybody's on social media and they go to our Facebook page, we, love to get new subscribers to our Facebook page.
we'll
But
make
we
sure people
post-
have the link.
That's right. So we post every single day, what activities are happening for the day, what the meal is, what the hours are, if anything should happen to change with the hours or what have you. All of that gets posted out on social media, so it's easy to find.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you really want people to know about Josh's house?
I think the more people in the community that come to see it and understand what it's all about, I think the more that they get an understanding of just how much our veterans miss that connection with one another, even those that never deployed. You know, my dad did 38 years and never saw a deployment, but his whole identity was wrapped around his military service. And so when he left, he kind of felt like, who am I? What do I eat? And when he comes into Josh's house, it's that camaraderie that somebody else gets it that he didn't have before. And so being able to provide that not just for combat vets, but for anybody that served. And you don't necessarily have to be classified as a veteran to come to Josh's house. If you served, whether it was one enlistment or multiple, you're welcome at Josh's house, and you're welcome to all of the resources that we have there. Um, and I think probably the only other thing that we would like to highlight is that we're always looking for volunteers, whether it's to staff Josh's house, whether it is to help out at events. We have an event coming up in 2 weeks in St. Albans. It's actually an afterglow event, but we are one of the participating nonprofits, and we benefit from it financially as well as getting the word out to more veterans about Josh's house. Um, but, we always need people to help staff the table at that or at UVM military appreciation games, those types of things. And then we also have a meal train online where people can actually provide the meal that we're serving to our veterans every day. And that's always helpful because there is a huge cost with food, as we've seen over the last couple of years. Our biggest expense outside of the physical building is food. Being able to provide that, though, for our veterans every single day is of paramount importance for us. So if we can get some help from the community, we're all about it. And we're also open to anybody who wants to do any kind of food drive or things of that nature for us. With our veteran marketplace, there are certain things that we need regularly, canned soups, individual packages of cereal and things of that nature are always in need of. So if anybody is looking to help out, I would encourage them to stop by, take a tour, see what Josh's house is all about, and then we can fill you in on all of the things that they could help out with.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming in today.
Oh, it's my
and
pleasure.
letting me pepper you with questions.
Always.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For more information or support, please reach out to the Vermont Military Family Support Center's toll-free number, 888-607-8773. The preceding content does not constitute endorsement by the Department of the U.S. Army, U.S. Air Force, Vermont National Guard, or Vermont Military Family Programs of the organization's products and services contained therein. Further, the Vermont Military Family Programs assumes no responsibility for the consequences of using the products or services provided by the organizations or resources listed. Vermont Military Family Programs makes every effort to present our clients with reputable resources. We cannot guarantee the validity of said resources, and the use of such resources is voluntary.